the Money Love Story series. This is Kate Northrup, and I am the author of this book here called Money, a Love Story: Untangle Your Financial Woes and Create the Life You Really Want. And as part of this launch, I've invited some of my friends to come tell their own money love stories. And I'm here with my friend Tara Gentile. She's a business strategist, and she writes and innovates and speaks on the new economy, and we'll ask her a little bit more about what she means by that, but it's all very exciting. And, the thing is, money is such a taboo topic, right? You talk about money, I talk about money, but not that many people do, and especially not that many women talk about money. Certainly not in a way that is, I find, like, fun. I really wanted to do this series because I wanted more people to speak out about their own money story in a loving, conscious way in public to inspire other people to also have a loving, conscious relationship with their money. So that's what we're up to. So I would love to hear, just to start out with, what did you learn about growing up in regards to money, or what did you witness if there weren't specific lessons?
Yeah, so I have to say my story with money has really been very much a love story.
Cool.
And so there's been some rocky time in that relationship, but for the most part, it's been a real love story. And that doesn't mean that I have everything figured out, far from it. But so my growing up part of the story is that when I was 9 or 10, my dad left my family, and my mom was tasked essentially with raising 2 kids. No college education, no, special skills, except she was a seamstress, and a damn good seamstress. And her goal in figuring out how she was going to, keep food on the table, put a roof over our heads, was to be able to stay home with us, to be able to do, all the school extracurriculars that we wanted to do, to be there with us. That was the kind of value that she put first and foremost as she was making this decision. And so she decided to take her skills as a seamstress, which she had always kind of hobby businessed with, and make that her full-time living. And, did it out of the home and all of this. But needless to say, seamstresses don't make 6 figures. And we really had very, very little growing up. The beautiful part, the love story part of that, is that I never felt like we were poor. I had friends that lived in way bigger houses, had way newer clothes, had way more expensive clothes, all of this, but I never felt poor. I always felt like we had exactly what we wanted. Like I had always exactly what I wanted. I played sports. I went to sports camps. I played music. I went to music camp. I had the instruments that I needed to have. I did the things I needed to do, the things I wanted to do, and somehow she always made it work. I didn't always understand until later how she made it work, but she made it work. And that left me with a real sense of abundance, even when, resources were literally scarce. Wow. And that served me extremely well for a long time. It continues to serve me well. Just, I think, that kind of entrepreneurial spirit of knowing that even when you don't necessarily have the resources you need, you can figure out how to go get them.
Yes.
That was probably the biggest takeaway from my childhood and the relationship with money that we had there. Is, you may not have it now, but there's a way you can figure out how to get it.
Yes.
If you really, really want it, it can be yours.
That's really amazing. And now, as you kind of journeyed into your 20s and left home, and I think you got a job, right?
Yes, I did.
and then what happened? How did you become an entrepreneur?
First of all, the getting the job part was where the rocky part of my relationship with money happened. Okay. Honestly, because for once in my life, I had a steady paycheck. Yeah. And I didn't have control over my earning power. And I couldn't just make things happen when I wanted to make things happen. I had X number of dollars that needed to last for 2 weeks. And I finally had that feeling of living paycheck to paycheck, which is an awful feeling, right? So luckily, this dead-end job, for numerous reasons, I got out of that. The main one was that I gave birth to my daughter and realized that it was better for all of us if I stayed home with her. but of being, an ambitious, kind of itchy kind of woman, I had the itch to still put my skills to use. And that's how I made the jump into entrepreneurship. I figured I've got skills, I got knowledge, I've got ambition. Certainly there's somebody out there that could use that.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of the internal conversation that happened at the time that helped me jump into entrepreneurship, helped me jump into starting my own business, and helped my business evolve.
Yeah.
And then that's how I was finally able to reclaim that spirit of being able to make anything happen if I wanted to, money-wise, or, getting stuff-wise or doing stuff-wise.
So, I mean, the way that I could summarize all of this, which is really awesome, is resourcefulness. What I'd love to know, this is not a question I've asked anybody else, but I want to know just off the top of my head, how do you teach that? Like, if you weren't raised by a single mom seamstress who just, taught you that you can always make it happen.
Yeah.
Do you think you can learn it later on?
That's a great question. Wow, and no one's ever asked me that question before. And I don't know how many times I've told that story. I think it is something that can be learned.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that it's necessarily something that can be taught.
Okay.
Saying that, I have certainly coached people through learning it for themselves.
Okay.
And I think, because it's the same in, getting whatever you want in your business. Business is to money. It's a pretty one-to-one relationship a lot of times.
Yeah.
And so, it's like, I've coached people through, getting the big influencers to notice them. How do you get media to notice you?
Yeah.
Well, that's a very step-by-step process, and you can go for a small win before you go for the bigger wins. And I think it's the same thing with learning resourcefulness, either in personal finances or in your career or, wherever you're needing to dig this up. I think it's about going after small wins first.
Okay.
And then, kind of progressing, because you have to build up your confidence in your ability to go out and get what it is that you want. And so if you can just start really small, you'll very quickly realize that everything is within reach.
That's such great advice. It's uncommon that people grew up with entrepreneurial parents. I grew up with some entrepreneurial family, and you grew up with entrepreneurial mom. So I'm always just wondering, I know it was ingrained in me. I feel blessed about that, and I always want to be able to pass that on. So I love that. Start with small wins and perhaps find yourself a coach. Tara's launching a program right now called 10,000 Feet. Mm-hmm. And it's a small group mastermind for people who've been in business a few years. If you feel like you could use some of that coaching, that would be an option. But finding help, whether it's a paid program, whether it's a mentor, all that's really important. And I'd love to know for you, as you were growing your business and on your money love journey, did you have any mentors, and what was some of the best advice you received along the way?
Yeah, well, hands down, my mentor in my money journey is our friend Amanda Steinberg, who is a wonderful little voice to have on your shoulder when you're making money decisions. Whether you're pricing a product or a service, or whether you're figuring out, should you put this $1,000 into your IRA or, whatever. When Amanda is your friend, you are constantly hearing her little voice in your ear. And that has guided me certainly to making a lot better money decisions in the last couple of years.
Cool.
She has just been a great guide. And if anyone listening is not already subscribed to dailyworth.com, they should be.
Do it.
And I think it's a great compliment to your book as well, Kate.
And she and I are going to be doing some fun things together. So
Woohoo!
we'll tell you about that at the end of the video.
Sweet. She's probably been my number one mentor in that area. And then, just kind of watching other people and seeing the people who actually have what I want. Not just the shiny dream of working from the beach on your laptop. That's not actually what I want. So why would I do what they do?
Who wants to get sand in their laptop?
Exactly. I pay a lot of money for that.
I know. Don't you just want to be at the beach?
Exactly.
Without the computer.
take a book to the beach, not your laptop. Right. So I don't watch those people, but the people who are doing the things that I want to do that have similar values to me, just watching those people and really kind of digging at it and not taking anything at face value. I think that's another like really important part of the love story of money, is that we tend to see, just like we see people's romantic relationships at face value, we see people's money relationships at face value. And that is extremely detrimental to our own relationships. You have to dig below the surface and say, what's really going on here? And I think, you know, a lot of times you'll be surprised at the good things you see. I'm not telling you to go digging for the junk. The junk is there, right? But you'll see some really good stuff, and that's I think what we all need to be good about working into our own journeys with money or business or whatever it might be.
And that, you know, that's why I'm doing this series, because I wanted to invite some high profile folks to tell the truth about money. But not like a dirty, nasty truth, like the truth about, you know, it can work out, and maybe we're not there yet. Like, you know, I'm going to be on this journey forever. You're going to be on this journey forever. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. But it's all, you know, it's all part of that. So I'd love to know, so I have two more questions for you.
Yeah.
One is, what is the new economy?
Oh, great question. So the new,
Well, wait, weren't you calling it the U economy for a while?
I am calling it the U economy.
Okay, so what's the U economy, new economy? What is that?
Sure. So essentially, the U economy is all about understanding the engine of economic growth as human, as you and I and we, as opposed to them. After the Industrial Revolution, certainly in the 20th century, what we saw is a just landslide move toward them being in charge of the economy, capitalists.
Yeah.
And they're capitalists based on, you know, the assets that they hold. They've got the machines, they've got the land, they've got the money. And what we find now is it's not capitalism that's the problem necessarily. It's actually that machines, land, money aren't what makes the economy go around anymore. Now it's personal connection. Now it's personal opinion. It's influence. It's ideas. It's innovation. It's disruption. And that happens at a human level. That happens between you and I. And so we are now the engines of economic growth in the 21st century, as opposed to the industrialists of the 20th century. And what we're really doing is, even though it's the new economy, we're getting back to things that have, you know, we're getting back to a way of doing things that is age old. It's just that now we've got all these fancy, shiny new toys that allow us to do it faster and bigger and with bigger impact on the world. And to me, that's extremely exciting.
That's so awesome. I love the way you articulated that. You're so smart. That was awesome. And then finally, what is, given that nobody's ever perfect and that we're still on the journey always, what's the next frontier for you, or your growth edge around when it comes to money?
Yeah, I think for me, the last couple years have really been about forging a new understanding of my earning power and what it means to have that earning power, and trying to sort of get comfortable with that. And I think my edge on that is now taking that earning power and doing something really powerful with it. It's not just about exercising it and getting comfortable on the me level. It's about getting comfortable with it on a community level, or in a just in a much more expansive way. And so that might mean bigger giving, but it also might mean investing in different ways. And so, yeah, for me, that's definitely the next edge. That's my next frontier in terms of my money relationship.
I love that. And that's really impact. And ultimately, what I talk about in the book is that's the reason to create financial freedom, is to be able to show up in a bigger way and do those kinds of projects and be generous and all those things. So I love that that's where you're at. If you've enjoyed this video with Tara, please go to taragentile.com and check out her amazing work. And if you want to learn more about Money, A Love Story, this book, go to moneyalovestory.com. And when you buy it, you're going to get a 2-hour free online event called A Course in Having Enough. that I'm teaching with guest experts Marianne Williamson, Barbara Stanny, and our friend Amanda Steinberg, founder of dailyworth.com. So that course is free when you buy the book before September 24th. MoneyALoveStory.com. Thank you, Tara. You're awesome. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye.